Shocking start to the season, hasn't it, for West Ham United? Is it too early for someone to be under pressure? Because it feels like it already is on Graeme Potter, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Well, Graeme Potter really took exception to a question. Actually, on Friday night, I was at the game and I actually did his pre-match presser as well. Because, listen, you know, I do think that West Ham and Graeme Potter is a big story right now because of their disastrous start and their defeat at Sunderland. He took real exception to a question about, are you in a relegation scrap already? Came back the retort, basically, well, you write what you want, basically, when I really feel he should have answered that question in a positive way. You know, basically come back and say, no, of course we're not. Our expectations and aims are much higher. Maybe he doesn't feel that he can sort of say that at the moment. I don't know. But I do feel that Graeme Potter is a progressive young manager who likes to play a certain way. The ingredients are there, I think, for him to be a success when you consider what he did.
Are the ingredients there at West Ham United?
Well, this is the point. I think this is the point. You cannot aim too complete criticism, I don't think, at Potter, simply because of what he's inherited. He took over in January. He took over a squad which was failing and lacking direction. And frankly, he struggled to redress that. He's been in charge, Darmish, of 21 games. He's lost 11 of them. That is a damning stat. He's only managed 5 wins. And I have to say, almost the worst thing you could say about Friday night, I was at the London Stadium on Friday night covering the game, was that the total apathy amongst the West Ham fans. I think West Ham have one of the best, loudest, most passionate and brilliant supporter bases within the Premier League. And this is a fan group who have frankly seen enough, had enough, and almost thought, here we go again. And they're disillusioned to the point that they're basically, well, this is it. You know, basically, they take an early lead through Paqueta, won a goal, and basically, from then on, they switch off. Yes, they do regain it, and basically, it was ruled out by VAR. But the performance was lamentable. The defending was appalling. And yes, he hasn't got the squad, but you cannot defend on any level 4 of your 5 goals being scored from within the 6-yard box. That's how bad the defending was. It was shocking. I do think Potter looks an angry, bruised man who thinks the world is against him from his poor experience at Chelsea. And he was poor. It didn't work out for him there. He's come to West Ham having had a big break. And I don't think, looking at him, he's ready for this, in his own mind, in his own approach, to turn things around. I think it's going to be a long, hard season for West Ham. I think at this rate, I do indeed think they're going to get sucked into a relegation scrap, unless they make a couple of notable signs before the end of the window. Without that, this squad is nowhere near good enough for West Ham.
Mark, John mentioned it there, the fans are disillusioned, and it's probably not just with the performance and the manager. As the Observer says, Potter is struggling, but failings at West Ham run so much deeper.
Yeah, I mean, to cross his point, though, about the fans, I think that's the fans at West Ham are why Graeme Potter can't succeed there. And it's not a detriment to the fans, it's because the fans are so good. And I think Graeme Potter is a tactics board manager. What he lacks for West Ham is the personality that you need to kind of to sell the story, to buy time, to persuade the fans that you want to. He doesn't have that personality at West Ham whereby to kind of identify with the fans. Each club has a different kind of DNA, and West Ham fans want their managers to fight for the club, to play a certain way, to be outspoken, to be like the fan base, to be a bit different. I think Potter is just, there's nothing there when you look at him on the touchline. He looks beaten at times, and that is not what West Ham fans want. They want their managers to have that bit of kind of oomph about them. Now, he walked into a bad situation. The Lopetegui appointment was a disaster. They shouldn't have got rid of David Moyes. So he's gone in with issues to address from the past. The situation upstairs, director of football, sporting director, there's a bit of a vacuum there as well. But he's gone in there and I just don't know, he's not selling himself as a West Ham manager. And you're right, he does seem like the whole world's against him, but I think he's bringing some of that on himself. But he said that by answering questions in a certain way, come out fighting, like you say, are you in a relegation battle? No, we're not. It's 2 games into the season. Of course we'll turn it around. Don't start picking fights that aren't even there.
Yeah. Go on, Jonathan.
No, there's a bit of a vacuum at West Ham, and Ockie's right that they need someone to fill it. They need a manager to come and fill it. They need someone to give them an identity, because I look at that fan base and they were discontented under David Moyes, who statistically is the most successful manager in the Premier League that they've ever had. So that told you that they wanted more than just success. But if you ask West Ham fans, and I have done, you don't quite get a clear answer as to exactly what it is that they want. And in those situations, you almost need a manager with real charisma to come in and show them. And Potter's got a lot of qualities, but he's a steady Eddie. He builds things slowly. He's not a loud personality. He's maybe not of the Harry Redknapp tradition that West Ham fans really connected with. And that's a real problem for them, because apathy, blandness, lack of personality, all of that, you could say that's what you saw on the pitch. That's exactly what you saw in the pitch against Chelsea. And it's like the kind of stasis and the atmosphere around the club is now being seen in the football they're playing.
Just very quickly, Jonathan, we're talking about the criticism aimed towards Graeme Potter, but more and more the reports in today's papers, when we're talking about West Ham United, points towards something a little bit deeper. Alison Rudd in the Sunday Times says the longer Potter spends in charge at West Ham, the more confused, lost and stagnant they are becoming. So that's an aim at Potter. But the subdeck here, Potter looks like he's been told he's in Fortnum and Mason, but has actually walked into a Tesco Metro. No disrespect to Tesco.
I quite like a Tesco Metro, yeah. I know Alison's saying I think what she's referring to is the transfer window in particular, where they sold Kudus, maybe their best player, and signed a goalkeeper from Leicester, a fullback from Southampton, Malik Diouf's an excellent prospect, and Callum Wilson on a free, but that does not look enough for this overhaul that West Ham need. And if you're Graeme Potter, and if you hire Graeme Potter, you're hiring a guy who needs time to build something, who wants a different style of football and needs tools to do that and time to do it. And then you have a transfer window like this. That's why it's not working.